So I've been living in Thailand now for 7 months, and there's still some things that, for the life of me, I don't understand. So prior to living here, I'd actually traveled to Thailand 7 times before. I absolutely love this place, and I'm happy to now call it my home. Thailand's got everything. It's got beautiful white sand beaches, amazing countryside, a wild nightlife, amazing people, and the food. My God, the food is just something else here. So prior to living here, I actually lived in Seoul, South Korea for a couple of years, and I absolutely loved living there. And since I've been here in Thailand, I'm having the time of my life. There's so many differences between the countries. In today's video, I'm going to talk about 7 different things that for the life of me, I can't figure out yet. So number 7, I can't for the life of me figure out what side of the sidewalk I'm supposed to walk on. I actually did a video on this a while back. I'll show you. Firstly, riddle me this. The cars drive on the left-hand side of the road, but when you want to walk up the stairs or walk anywhere, you walk up the right. So you may be thinking, that's not that confusing. You drive on the left, you walk on the right. But if you want to walk into a mall or something like that, the entrance is on the left. And yes, everyone drives on the left-hand side of the road. But if you want to pull into a mall or something like this, you actually go in on the right-hand side and exit through the right-hand side. And then take the escalator on the right to get on the train that's going on the left. You keeping up with me here? Then the boats and the ferries, they go down the right-hand side of the canal. Someone explain this to me. It makes absolutely no sense to me at all. So yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't think anyone knows actually. That's why there's people always almost walking into each other all the time. If you know, let me know. And then number 6 is how things that are illegal can be so blatantly obviously sold here. So some of the things that are illegal don't even make sense to me in the first place. So I know vapes and e-cigarettes are illegal, but you can see if you go to markets, there's stalls selling it, they sell the juice. You walk down the street, there's people smoking it, but there's huge fines for even just having the vape on your person. You can get in a lot of trouble. Yet everywhere in the streets and markets and places, they've got these pop-up stalls and they sell the vapes, they sell the juice. I don't understand how they can do that. Also recently just found out that sex toys are illegal, which is quite funny. And the funny thing about that is, they're for sale everywhere. You walk up and down Sukhumvit Road and you see them on those little stalls. You see all the toys, and those stalls sell everything. They got crack pipes, they got bongs, they got all sorts of weird things that I don't even know what they are. You see them selling weapons, tasers, extendable batons, all these things that you can't carry on you, yet for some reason you can sell it on the main road of Bangkok. Another thing is here that pharmacies can give you prescription drugs without a prescription. They even advertise that. Some of them, they've got a sign out the front that says like, we'll sell prescription medicine without a prescription, which is quite funny. It's like they're telling you on the sign out the front that they're doing something illegal. And you can go in there and buy these things, but it's illegal for you to have that on you without a prescription at all. So something I've heard of in the past, and this doesn't really happen anymore, there's not much tourism here. Maybe it'll start again, is that police would hang out near those places and wait for people to go in and buy stuff, and they'll bust you on the way out, which to me is just wild that you can even buy it in the first place.
So number 5 is about music. And this is going to sound really strange, but it's something I can't figure out. So I was in a taxi earlier and the guy was playing some music. It was Alicia Keys and Jay-Z's, that New York song. And when I was listening to it, I'm like, this song sounds weird. And I realized it's not actually Alicia Keys and Jay-Z. When the guy that was supposed to be Jay-Z came on and started rapping, I'm like, that's definitely not Jay-Z. The female's voice was actually really good. That's why it was difficult for me to tell at first. And then I realized this is like a Thai cover band essentially doing the song. But, you know, I get Thai cover bands. Thai cover bands are really fun, especially if you're out having drinks or something like that and there's bands playing like, you know, Western music that you would like. But this was trying to be exactly the same, but it was slightly different. And I was like, why would you do that? Why would you try and make it sound exactly the same? You might as well listen to the original version. It's just slightly better. But I mean, the difference was so hard to tell. I listened to, you know, the first part of the song and I didn't even pick up on it. And I was like, it just sounds a little bit off. I quite like that song, so that's why I managed to pick up on it. And when the Jay-Z rapping part came out, I knew for sure. But it's not a cover band in the traditional sense of what a cover band represents. So I don't understand why you would buy that. Like, so this guy's got a CD and he's gone out and bought that. I mean, I understand the artist making that because they like that music and they want to make the same music, but just listening to it, it's like, if it's that similar, you would just listen to the original version. I've heard this in bars and it's actually quite hard to tell when you're in a bar. So maybe that's something to do with like copyright thing. I don't know. But anyway, it's really weird. And, you know, especially for the female vocalists, a lot of them, you know, they're amazing and you honestly can't tell the difference. But yeah, when people try and rap, someone's trying to be Jay-Z or something like that, it's kind of hard to pull off. Regardless, it's something I find really funny about here anyway.
And then number 4 is these guys and the negotiation process you go through to get a tuk-tuk or a taxi here sometimes. So often I'll use tuk-tuks to get around. They're a great way to get around as long as you don't get ripped off. So the problem is some of them, they want to charge you like tourist prices or like ridiculous 200 baht to go a short distance or something like that. But when they charge you the correct amount, they're actually a really affordable way to get around if you're just going relatively short distances. So if you're just going a super short distance, those bikes are great. You just jump on them on the corner of main roads and they'll take you up your street for 20 baht. But otherwise tuk-tuks, if they charge you the right amount, are actually a really good way as well. So for as good as the tuk-tuks are when you can agree on a price, I can't for the life of me figure out why when you can't agree on a price, they'd rather just not take you. Yesterday I wanted to go from Asok to Nanai in a tuk-tuk. It's about 40 baht usually. I went up to a guy and he was sitting there and I said, you know, how much to take me to Nanai? And he said 200 baht. And it's like, you know, it's only a few hundred meters. And I was like, no way, I'll give you 40 baht. And he said, no. And this has happened to me so many times, whereas other times I go up and I say 40 baht and they go, yeah, cool, jump in and they'll take you. Thai people usually get them even cheaper again. And if you're with Thai people, they can do all that negotiation for you. But this has been happening the entire time that I've been here. So I understand it when there's a whole lot of tourism. If they don't take me, there'll be someone else come along soon that they can get, you know, a high amount of money for. But this has been happening the whole time. Even when there was no tourism, there was no people around. I've seen tuk-tuk drivers that would rather sit there and do no one than to take me on just a 2-minute trip and they'd be able to come back to where they were going. So to put into perspective just how far 40 baht goes here, my lunch cost 40 baht today. So essentially this guy could have taken me on a 2-minute trip and he would have gotten a meal out of it. So if you're in the West, like if you're in Australia, for example, you'd need about $10 to buy yourself lunch. So to do a 2-minute trip and earn $10 are enough to buy yourself a meal, that's unreal. I've had times when you're trying to negotiate a rate and the rate is so unreasonable and I'll show them, you know, an app like Bolt or Grab or something. I'll show them how much it would cost to get a car on one of those things and they still won't budge on the price. They'll still be like, nope, 200, take it or leave it basically. It's insane. And I know this is not, you know, losing face is a real thing, like Thai people don't want to lose face. And it's not about that at all. But there is times when it does make sense, you know, if it's late at night on a Friday night or something and there's lots of demand and there's no taxis or tuk-tuks available. So yeah, the price goes up then. But it's just the times when there's no one around, it's quiet and it's the middle of the day. I don't know. Number 3 is the infrastructure. So just on this one little corner here in Sukhumvit, let me show you what's going on just here. So this road here, Sukhumvit Road, this is the busiest road or one of the busiest roads here in Bangkok. And the sidewalk along here you would think would be one of the busiest sidewalks as well. Let me show you what's happening here. So here you've just got a couple of poles. This concrete pole, that's not attached to anything. That's just the pole there doing nothing. Then you've got a box here blocking more of the sidewalk. And then next to that, they've decided to put a pole. That's just a sign that advertises Chang Beer. So pretty much this entire sidewalk is blocked. You just got to walk through this little bit here. So that's crazy in itself. But then look what's happening up here. So this is a set of stairs that runs to an overpass so that you can cross the road. The only thing is, they put the stairs smack bang in the middle of the sidewalk, so there's hardly any room either side to be able to walk down here. So if you do decide to walk down this side, you've got to deal with that. And then this side is only, God, that's less than a meter wide. So if you do come this side, be careful of whatever that thing is. And if you think this is bad, wait till you see the other side of the road. Check out this side of the road. You either got to be a gymnast to go this side, or you better watch your head if you're planning to go this way. This is crazy through there. I mean, to be honest, that way is actually pretty fun. So I know for a lot of these things, money's a real factor, and that's why things are like this. But you can't tell me there isn't a better way to do this. I'm no city planner, and I can tell you this is a terrible idea. I mean, you would think when they were building this, there'd be one person that's like, hey, you can't really walk through here anymore, so what are we gonna do? I don't know, you can put a little pathway there, or widen this, or... And then number two is these roads and how dangerous they are. So not just physically how dangerous they are, but how reckless everyone is while on these roads. So the roads here in Thailand are absolutely insane. So on average, 56 people die every day on the roads out here somewhere in Thailand. That's over 20,000 per year, which is just wild. So it's not only the roads themselves, how dangerous they are. You know, people speed everywhere. There's no regard for the road rules. I see an amazing amount of people that don't wear helmets on motorbikes. This just blows me away that no one wears helmets on motorbikes. You even see like delivery riders, and they're on their bike full time. That's their full-time job. They're on a bike all day, every day, and they're not wearing a helmet. They're weaving through traffic here in these streets in Bangkok, and it's just so dangerous. Sometimes you'll see they're basically a whole family. You see up to like 4 people, and they're all riding together on a scooter. There'll be the little kids at the front, and they're holding onto their handlebars, and none of them are wearing helmets. It's just, it blows my mind. And you know, people weaving through the traffic all the time. And it's not like helmets are expensive here. I've been into shops and I've seen how much they cost. You can buy them online for really cheap. They may not be the best quality, but it's definitely better than not wearing a helmet at all. The highways here are something else as well. When I say highway, you know, you think of a highway being like this big, wide road, many lanes in each direction, really safe for you to drive really fast, but not like that. When you go into the countryside, it's basically 2 lanes each way, or sometimes 3 lanes each way. And there's like, oh, everyone just drives really fast. And the craziest thing, so on each side of the highway, normally you'd have the guardrails so that if you lost control of the car, you'd bounce off the guardrail. Whereas these highways, there's nothing. They've just got trees and poles all the way. So if you lost control or if you swerve slightly off the road, you're heading straight into a concrete pole or a tree. And it's not just these open highways that are dangerous. When you get into the countryside and you start winding through the mountains, the roads there get even crazier. I've been on ones and it's sort of 2 lanes and you wind through the mountains, and there's no guardrail there either, and it's basically just a cliff off the side. It's just so sketchy, the roads. Also, the speed limit doesn't suit the roads, and you know, in many countries you get the recommended speed coming into a corner. So the speed limit may be 80, but as you come into the corner, it's telling you to go around the corner in 40 or 50 or whatever. And they don't have that. It's just flat out 100 k's an hour. You wouldn't be able to go 100 k's an hour around some of these corners. You've also got trucks everywhere, and they drive crazy. You know, they'll overtake you on the left, they overtake you on the right. No one's going the speed limit anyway, but it's just, oh, driving here, when you do these long trips, it's an experience. You know, a few months ago when I was traveling with Cynthia, we were on the road every day and we would see accidents every single day. So this is another thing that blows me away. Like, you can see accidents. You know, I very, very rarely would see an accident in Australia. It'd be quite an unusual thing to see. Whereas here when we're driving, you'd see sort of 1, 2, 3 a day, every single day. Every single day you would see somewhere. And they're not just a small accident. It'll be like a multi-car pileup or a car on its roof. I've seen trucks rolled over. I've seen a multiple truck accident. Some of them are horrific. And then when you see that, you would think everyone would be like, oh shit, maybe I need to slow down a little bit. That's not the case. I remember being on one of those roads winding through the mountains like I was talking about earlier, and a car had gone off the side and sort of down the cliff. Luckily, it wasn't a huge drop and the person was okay, but it just, the experience must have been so terrifying. There's all these like people around and you just see these skid marks going off and then down off the side of a mountain. And we like sort of pulled over to see if they were okay, and they were, but just, oh my God, it's just so dangerous. And I'll never understand why people don't drive accordingly to those conditions.
And then number one is the road rules here. And it's not just people's lack of regard for the road rules, it's just the penalties involved. You know, some of the rules are strange, but it just seems you can get away with anything here. People drive through red lights, people ride bikes down the sidewalk.
So this intersection is awesome. All those people just drove through a red light. So funny.
The crazy part about that clip is that right across the road is a little police box where they monitor traffic. You know, they've got cameras everywhere and they can see that intersection, but people still ride their bikes straight through that red light all day, every day. So this kind of ties in with my last point of why people are so reckless on the roads. And part of it is the penalty system is not that bad at all. So recently I was on a trip with Cynthia and she was caught speeding. She was going 133 kilometers an hour in, I think, a 90 zone. And all the police do, they make you pay a 500 baht fine. And then once you pay that fine, there's no points involved, right? If you're in Australia and you're speeding too much, you lose demerit points and then eventually you'll lose your license. I think that was more than 40 kilometers over the speed limit. So if that's the case in Australia, they take your license off you. I think it's on the spot. If you're more than 30 Ks over the speed limit, you lose your license, basically, like no warnings. But when we were stopped, basically Cynthia just paid 500 baht on the spot and you get this little certificate. And this next part just blew my mind. So once you have a ticket and you've been busted for speeding, you can't get in trouble for speeding again in the same day anywhere in Thailand. It's basically you get this pass. It's like a free ticket to speed pass. So if you get pulled over again, you say, I've already paid one. And they're like, okay, cool, off you go. It's just insane. And that's why there's so many, accidents and deaths on these roads. The problem is it's just so normalized here. So when I was on those trips with Cynthia and she was speeding and going like 130 Ks an hour, I'd complain about the speed and she wouldn't understand what I was saying. And we're not, like if we're going 130, we are definitely not the fastest car on the road. There's people overtaking you constantly. And just the way they do it, there's people overtake you on the left, there's people overtake you on the right. Different lanes have different speed limits, but it doesn't always work like that. And people, weave and wind their way through. Trucks are supposed to have different speeds. Anyway, no one abides by the road rules. It's just absolute chaos. The fact that the penalties aren't that harsh means there's no real incentive for you to not break the rules. 500 baht, that's like $15 or something like that. If that's all you have to pay to speed, like if you're running late, you'd be like, screw it. I'll pay the $15 if I get stopped. But the chances are you're not going to get stopped. Whereas any other country, if you drive like in the US, if you drive too recklessly, you'll get thrown in jail. Australia, if you do what's classified as dangerous driving, they can take your car away from you. And if you do that too many times, they can take your car forever and crush it or destroy it or whatever they do with it. It's just a fear of losing your license that stops people from doing these things. I've personally lost my license, I think twice. And I've got a pretty good driving record, but it just happens, you'll accidentally be 10 Ks over or something like that. And we get tickets. I think I got one for 7 Ks over the limit in Australia. It's just when you come here and it's just the complete polar opposite. It's just so weird. And unfortunately, that's why there is these statistics, like I said before. It just amazes me that nothing changes, with the amount of road accidents there are every year. You would think they would start to do something to try and fix that. All right, that's my 7 things. So let me know if you have some, if there's things that you've noticed here that are strange and you don't know the answer to, or if you know any of the answers to the ones I was saying, leave me a comment below. I'd love to hear it. All right, I'm going to wrap the video up here. This is just a bit of fun. I'm not shitting on Thailand. I love this place. I'm not trying to make fun of Thailand in any way at all. It's just me having some fun with this. So anyway, as always, thanks for watching. See you next time.